Stephen Farrell here, the Retail Manager Consulting. I am really annoyed right now. I took my kids to McDonald's and just had a crappy experience. I know you're probably thinking, Stephen, it's McDonald's, what do you expect? And there is some truth to that, but what I saw today, what I witnessed at McDonald's, is exactly what most managers need to plan for, need to avoid. All the successful managers I have worked with, that I have known, are forward thinkers. They plan for the future. And that is why they run successful businesses. That is why they have profitable stores and why they have a high performance team. I walked in this McDonald's, getting my two kids out of the car. They're hangry. You know, when you tell a kid you're going to McDonald's, it's like telling them tomorrow's Christmas and Santa's going to be dropping off a lot of presents. They are stoked. They love McDonald's. They love the playland. And I'm sure you did if you ever went to McDonald's when you were a kid. So we get in there. There's about a line of maybe, 5 or 7 people. And it takes about 7 minutes, which is a little bit longer than normal. But hey, we were okay with that. It was 5:15 in the evening. You know, it's prime time for McDonald's in most restaurants. We finally get to the line, we place our order, we go and sit down, the kids go and play in the playland, and then just a couple minutes later, this young lady, this manager, comes out to the lobby, very loudly says, "We are closing down the lobby. We can no longer take any orders immediately. We can't take any orders, and everyone here that's already got your food or you're waiting on your food, you have 30 minutes to eat, and then you're going to have to leave." That really annoyed me, right? Like, what the heck is wrong with this manager? Why are we closing down the lobby? Is there like an emergency situation going on? So I walk up to the manager real quickly, and I said, "Hey, what's going on? Why are we closing down the lobby?" And she's like, "Oh, we just don't have enough people to run the register and manage the lobby. We're very short-handed." So I kind of like give her this weird look because I'm looking into where the kitchen's at, and there's at least 5 employees back there. You're telling me you can't run a store, run a McDonald's with 5 employees? I mean, what, you got somebody for the fryer, somebody making and prepping the food, someone taking the orders. I mean, someone cleaning up. I mean, there's enough employees there. At least I thought there was. And so we sit down. We're a little annoyed, but we're eating our food. You can tell everybody in the lobby's really annoyed at this point. And I see family after family pulling up, parking, unloading their kids, walking up to the doors, trying to open it, trying to figure, what the heck, why aren't these doors opening? And then they look at the sign, "Sorry, our lobby is closed for the night." And you can see these parents, their face expressions were just priceless. They were upset, rightfully so. And their kids matched those emotions by like 10, right? The kids started kicking and screaming like, "What do you mean you're taking McDonald's away from us?" And you see these parents just literally dragging their kids back to the minivan. Oof. I mean, as a parent, I can understand those frustrations. Like, you're not going to let that happen again. There's no way in heck that I'm going to take my kids back to that McDonald's, because I don't want to risk the chance of getting my kids' hopes up, walking up to the doors, getting all the kids out. That's a freaking hassle in itself. And then I have to drag my screaming kids back to the car and try to get them buckled up and convince them that they don't need McDonald's, that for some reason McDonald's is closed. No parent wants to do that. They deal with that enough everywhere else they go. So when they do run into that situation, they're not going to go back to that McDonald's. They're going to go to the one just a mile down the road. Or maybe they're going to Burger King or Chick-fil-A, but they're definitely not going back to that location. This is a lesson that many managers really learn the hard way, and some never learn. You have to plan for days like that, right? For this store to be shorthanded, where they have to close their lobby, which was a bad decision to begin with, but where they're put in these crisis modes, managers make these rash decisions that aren't always the best decision. Now, if I was to maybe ask that manager, or if I was to talk to that manager 3 months ago, and I'd say, "Hey, manager, in 3 months from now on this date, you are going to have a full-blown crisis on your hands. You're going to have 4 people call out. You're only going to have 5 people available, and all heck's going to break loose. You're going to lose a ton of customers and a ton of business, and it's going to cost your store double-digit revenue losses for the next year. Do you think that manager would do something now to prevent that from happening if they knew without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, that that was going to happen? Of course that manager would. That manager would probably spend more time screening applicants, making sure they're hiring the right people. They're probably going to check references instead of skipping over checking references, and they're probably going to spend a lot more time really digging into the interview. And then they're going to set their expectations very clearly in that interview that, look, part of your job is to be on call for these days of the week and these hours of those days, period. That is a job requirement. If you can't meet those requirements, I'm not going to hire you. And if I do hire you and I see you're not following those requirements, I'll let you go the moment I notice that. Do you think if a manager sets those expectations up front, are they going to have this problem? Probably not, right? Only with a couple employees, and they can quickly get rid of those employees and bring on the right people. Do you think the manager now is going to spend more time training their team, building a high-performance culture, truly teaching the value of the dollar, the value of a customer walking through your doors right now to buy your products and services? If a manager is building that type of culture, they're not going to have all these call-outs. They're not going to have employees that just... I literally listened to an employee in the kitchen as I'm talking to the manager saying, "Oh, I hate my effing job." I'm like, really? You hate your job? Then get the freak out of town. You're not entitled to this job. That's the type of atmosphere that this manager and maybe other managers and even the franchise owner has probably created, and they probably just don't know why it's all happening. They're just going through the motions, hoping every day that things just go right. They're not planning for the future. They're not setting their team up for success. And that is what you need to do as a store manager, as a restaurant manager, as an assistant manager, any managers out there watching this. This is the lesson that we can all learn from. I learned this lesson the hard way in my career. I had a set of cafes. I had one cafe in Nowhere, Wyoming. I know one of my managers in Wyoming is probably thinking, is that me? And we could not get employees to work the AM shift. It was nearly impossible. And we had someone call out once every couple weeks. No one would be willing to come in because we didn't set that expectation when we hired them. And the cafe closed once every couple weeks for a few months. Long story short, that cafe went from being double digits up, being the number 1 cafe in the company, to being high double digits down. I'm talking 40% down in revenue and in comps. The store was hemorrhaging, was not profitable, and it took that manager over a year to turn the tide, to get that store back to just normal, and eventually that cafe closed, okay? You don't want that to happen to you. Don't let that happen to you. You need to be a forward planner. Successful managers plan for the future 3 months ahead of time, 6 months, even a year down the road. If you're not doing that as a manager right now, you need to change your mindset. You've got to get out of your head and actually look down the road. What are you planning for? What could happen if you don't have a great team that's working hard to take care of your customers? What happens when school comes around the corner and all of your students up and quit? Or when the holidays hit and all of your students quit, they leave town, they have no loyalty to you. So why are you hiring those students if you know they're going to leave during the busiest time of the year? I hope this helps. This is one of my daily or weekly video logs. Comment below if you've had a similar situation. What are you doing as a manager to plan forward, to be a forward thinker so you can be successful, so you don't have these crisis scenarios that happen all the time in retailers today? Are you avoiding them? Are you planning for the future? I hope so. Stephen Farrell, Retail Manager.